Hi guys, hope everyone's going well. Back with another mid-length. One that I wasn't expecting to buy actually. To be honest, I was popped into Backdoor yesterday, and I'd been thinking about something else in the mid-length, and this was in there, and I'd been eyeing it up for a while, and it was in my size, and it had this nice colour tint on it, and I decided to give it a crack. So I'll do this review in two parts. I haven't really ridden it yet. I've been able to just paddle it around this morning, but it was really a longboard wave, which I actually managed to stand up 4 or 5 times, and got a couple of rides as a twin and a single fin, and which is, I wasn't expecting to be able to catch anything, because it was literally like not even the biggest sets would have been like, I don't know, knee to waist high, so it was like really a longboard wave. So the good news is it's a great paddler. Can't tell you heaps more about the ride until I actually get it in some decent waves. But yeah, this board's a really interesting board. You'll see a lot of reviews about it, so I'll probably be going over a lot of ground. But you know me, I'm pretty honest, and I'm quite opinionated on the technicalities of things and fin setups and all the rest. So I'll give you my thoughts on how I think it was intended to ride and how I'll be trying it, and the kind of person that can ride it. So this one's a 7 foot, so it's 7.0, 21.5, 3 1/8, and a whopping 53.8 litres, which I actually thought might be too much, but paddling it around, I think it's actually going to be all right. I was like, I kind of had a sort of cruisy mid-length that I can sort of compete with longboarders and stuff, was what was in my mind, and I like single fins. I know I can ride single fins all right, and I like the idea of twin fins, but I've never got on well with twin fins when they've usually been in a shorter size though. So I've ridden twin fins in the past a long time ago when it's been in a longer rail length, and they've actually been all right. So it was a good idea. I was like, that's cool. You know, I've got something that can ride as a single, and it's got that twin fin option in the correct twin fin position, but I'm not tied to it. So I'm not tied to the twin fin. I can ride it as a single if not, and worst case I could always route some more boxes into it myself if I really wanted to. But really nice board. It's a bit of a different board, obviously, from the Seaside and Beyond. I actually sold that. I sold it to a friend here locally, and he's actually loving it, so that's great. I did like that board, but I was just I don't know, it just seemed a bit, I've already had bigger fish, and it's like just wasn't quite what I was expecting. It was real similar to the fish I made myself, and I wasn't like I liked it, and it's a really good all-round board, and you could do heaps of stuff on it, but I wasn't massively blown away either. So I've just had a good offer on it, and I thought I'd try something else. So this one, obviously, as you can see, it's got a bit more nose rocker probably than the Seaside and Beyond, maybe similar, and a fairly flat tail rocker, and then it's got that eggy, it's a real eggy round tail shape. So its basis is in the proper mid-length really. I mean, you can see the huge thickness, like there's masses of thickness carried through the board, and it holds a lot of thickness in the tail, which is really good here. As I say, our waves are like very, very slow and mellow, and it's really a longboard wave. So I like to ride shorter boards, but really you're ice skating uphill here if you're trying to ride a short board, unless you're young and fit and can really pump and generate your own speed. I mean, I'm turned 45 last week, so it's like, my ego, I leave my ego at the door and just go and have fun now, as you should, as everyone should, to be quite honest. Nice outline shape, moderate rocker. It's fairly flat in the back and got a little bit, it's not super flat in the front, it's actually sort of medium in the front, so pretty cool. Very, very thick. Now this is very subjective to the sizes you can ride. It's a really interesting board. You could ride I could definitely ride the 6.4, because that's basically the old creeper, and I had one of those. So I could ride the 6.4, I could probably ride the 6.0, and I could ride all the way up to the 7.3. So it's kind of like, you really got to think about what you want in your quiver. You could have 2 of these, you could have 1 of these, you could have a small one as a fun little grovelly board. If you're a decent surfer, you could have the biggest one instead of a longboard if you were like an okay surfer that doesn't want to ride a longboard. You could ride the biggest one if you're a heavy guy that needs a massive longboard, or can only ride a sup otherwise. That could be your short board. Like, there's a massive range of people and waves that you could ride this in. I don't know about the wave range in size. I'm planning on it being sort of probably head high and below would be what I'll, maybe a bit overhead. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure where its grip and hold and everything else is going to be. In theory, with a single fin, should be able to ride it overhead here if necessary, because it's a slow wave. It's got that really nice mid-length concave setup that I like. So it's actually got a little bit of belly in the nose, or V, just to part the water, and then it goes into a single through here. And then it does what I really like, and it starts that long, deep V double from here all the way out the back, and it gets quite heavy V, and it's got quite a heavy double through the tail. So I'll show you the concaves properly in a bit. And then the interesting thing, I'll show you some of my fin recommendations, and I might get in trouble for this, but my opinion of this board is it is designed to be ridden as a single fin or a twin fin. Everything else, in my personal opinion, is not optimal for this board. So whatever anyone else tells you about riding it as a thruster, as a single with side bites, anything else, I personally think that's not optimal. These fins have been positioned to be a twin fin for this size of board, and they will be through the length. And then the single fin box is positioned to be a single fin. There's no, like, honestly, I personally think if you were riding a single fin with side bites, the side bites should be like that. This box should actually be up here. Well, it should be at least, like, you know, it should be at least 10 or 20 or 30 mil further forward. It's probably not so bad with the Machados or a real short keel, because it won't fight so much. But if you put a single fin in the back of here, and then you put side bites here, the side bites are already behind, the backs of the side bites are already behind the front of the single fin, which is like, that's no bueno as far as I'm concerned. That's not, you don't do it. I mean, it's probably going to be all right if you ride some like little keels or some little nubsters or some little bonza sides. Like, they're probably going to be all right because they won't fight as hard. But really, if you're single fins here, if the front of your fin's there, your side bites want to be another 30 to 50 mil up from the back of your side bites want to be 20, 30, 40, 50 mil up from the front of your single fin. That's my opinion. So that's probably the controversial bit, although it's a surfboard, so who cares? But I mean, you can do what you want, and you can experiment what you want. So I'm going to ride this as either a straight single fin, a straight twin fin, or I might ride it as a twin fin with a little trailer. And I've got one of the Lost trailers for the single fin box, which is fantastic because it actually overhangs the back of the box and puts it where a trailer fin should be. So I can ride this as basically I still call that a 2+1, but I'd get in trouble for that because not everyone does. So basically that's a twin fin with a trailer. So I would say I've got it, I'll show you the fins in a wee while, but keel fin, single fin, or some more upright twin fins with a little trailer is an optional, and everything else is not optimal. So the ideal is dedicated twin or dedicated single. That's what I see it before. So anyone that's trying, I've seen loads of reviews and people are trying like the weirdest fin setups, and then it's like, oh, I wasn't really sure about this, and I was like, makes like probably a bit controversial, but it's like some of the stuff that people are sticking in there like makes no logical sense to me. It's like dedicated twin or dedicated single. Anything else is an experiment. Go ahead and experiment, but it's not optimal. That's my opinion. So yeah, I think quite a strong opinion on that one. Hey? Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about the board. So I'll come around and show you what I would put in it for fins, and. Yeah, so it's pretty chunky on volume. It's got really nice concaves. It's a nice outline shape. It's pretty good, like one board. You know, it's going to do a lot of things for a lot of people. If you're a longboarder and you want to step down to something a bit shorter, this could be really fun. If you like to shortboard but you never want to ride an actual longboard, you could get this instead, and then you'll still be catching small waves and having a bit of glide when it's a small day and there's lots of longboarders out. Fundamentally, a single fin and a twin fin is going to ride quite differently regardless of what the board's like. So it's kind of like two boards in one. With the single fin, you will get a little bit more glide and a little bit less drag. but you won't get the same drive. So with a single fin, it's very smooth and glidey, and it teaches you to be in time with the wave, and you've got to be in the pocket of the wave. But it's a very cruisy, soulful, smooth, drag-free feeling. With the twin, you're going to be able to create more of your own drive from the fins that are in it. So even in a tiny wave today, I just tried both and instantly noticed like the single fin's got that glidey, but you can't drive to where you want to be, and you have to use the pocket nicely, and it's good for your surfing actually, because it smooths your surfing out. And then the minute I got on the twin fin, it's like, yeah, I can pump and make a bit of speed down the line and turn with more speed through my turns and all the rest of it. So yeah, two quite different boards. It's really nice to have two dedicated options in the same board. It does work, but a lot of people will be sticking like I said before, but like people are getting like the CI mid, and then they're sticking twin fins in where longboard side bites are supposed to be, which seems to be actually working for a lot of people. I've seen a lot of guys like surfing them really well, but it's like technically that's not where most shapers would put the fins. So yeah, that's a bit of a long spiel about all that. But yeah, like I say, you can size this board anything you want. You could go and ride a tiny little, some guys will be on like, I guess like a 5.9 or 5.10 or a 5.11, like guys that are good surfers, and they might use it as like a little fun playful groveler or take it out with the kids or whatever. A guy my size might ride it in like a 6.4 as a all round, almost like a hybrid shortboard or a mini mid-length. And then in the 6.8 it's going to be like a do-it-all kind of board, and then in the 7.0 it's going to be a bit more mid-length orientated, a bit more glide and speed. The 7.3 is obviously going to be very mid-length orientated. So I was worried about this being too much volume, but actually after paddling it, I'm really stoked that I went for it, because it's very easy to catch waves on, and it's right at the limit of what I can duck dive. And if anyone's listened to me before, if they're patient enough to listen to me multiple times, you'd know that for a mid-length, one of my things that I look for is kind of like the biggest volume I can comfortably duck dive. The 7.0 length I really love, because I can get just forward enough to sink the nose on it, but you get all the glide of the length. If I go 7.2, the nose starts to get too far away for me to duck dive well, and if I go 6.10, I don't get the same trim and glide. So it's quite interesting. It's like 7.0 is a very favorite size for me, and this is at that higher end of duck diving, so it's really going to be a board that I've got plenty of paddle power, I've got that extra bit of time to get to my feet, and I can cruise around. And when it's busy and the waves full of like longboarders and sups and all sorts of stuff these days, like foils and freaking goat boats and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, this is going to be cruisy, good paddler, and very nice all-round board that I can take out when it's smaller or a little bit bigger. And then obviously if it gets to be a hollower or better wave, or the size is seriously big, I'll probably pick something else, but I think this would probably handle it still. Like I say, for someone my size, this could almost be a one board quiver as well. I always like to have a long board in my collection, and I always like at least a shorter board, like a hybrid board in my collection. But if I could only have one board, it would probably have to be a long board for here, because that's just the waves. But if I could have two boards, if I had a pretty good long board and this, I could cover a lot of the local. I could cover 90% of what we get here. So yeah, sorry that's a bit of a long ramble. I'll show you through the concaves, but as I say, it's basically there's a bit of a hull in the nose here, so that disperses the water and disperses the chop if it's choppy. And then it's a single concave through here, which is quite subtle, which is nice. And then it goes into a really nice deep aggressive double concave. And yeah, super stoked with this turquoise tint. You can probably read anyone's spiel on the helium technologies. You can't actually see a lot of the parts in this, but basically it's a EPS core with a parabolic wood stringer, or be a parabolic stringer. So there's wood, there's like about 10 mil of wood all the way around the rail, and there's no stringer through the center of the board. So the outside rail acts as a parabolic stringer, and that's very springy and responsive. And then there's a hard deck skin on top of that, and then it's glassed. So they're a very light, durable, poppy EPS epoxy board. The resin's epoxy, and it's bioresin as well, so they're eco board certified. Yep, there we go. And yeah, well made. They're a lot better. the Firewires are usually pretty good anyway, but years ago they were sometimes find like sandouts and stuff in the LFTs. The more recent ones are like they're very well finished and very well glassed by the looks of it. Futures boxes, you can get it in FCS as well, FCS 2. So yeah, that's the helium tech. Weight's quite nice. It's light, but it's not like stupidly light, which is quite good. Yeah, cool. I'll come around and talk about fins a wee bit. Right, so let's have a quick nosy at fins. So the logical setups are going to be single fin, obviously. If you're not sure about single fin placement, or the feel and the ride of single fins, I did say a bit about it, but you can always have a look at my single fin placement guide, and then I've got a guide on the differences between twin fins, quad, singles, and how they feel. So yeah, the general logic is if for your board size in feet, your single fin wants to be a similar size in inches. Now that gets quite hard when you get down into really small size boards, because it doesn't start to make any sense anymore. Like if you've got a 5'11" one of these, you're probably still gonna have to put a 6.5 to 7 inch fin in it, and if you've got the 7.3, you're probably still gonna put a 7.5 to 8 in it. So this is a 7 foot board. I know like a 7.5 to 8 single fin works quite nicely for me. So I've got a couple here. One's that's a Eric Ellis, I think it is, Captain Fin. That's worked really well in a couple of my other boards. This is a 7.5 FCS Del Perro, and that's also a good fin. The Chrysalis is a good fin. The True Aims Greeno fins are good fins. The Captain Fin rake fins are a good fin. Like there's loads of things you can go crazy with single fins. So, but basically that's your single fin setup. Just to give you a bit of an idea. Like personally, I thought this board with the box was like reasonably far back, so I would personally run this fin like probably way up the front or just a little bit back. I actually put it way up the front, expecting that to be tight if anything, and it was actually quite loose on this, so I can probably go a bit further back than I was expecting, which is good because I was a bit worried that the fin box was actually going to be too far back for me, but nah, it's fine. So yeah, that give you an idea of the single fin and the look of it. And as I say, like, you know, side bites, these FCS obviously are not a match, but like that makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense whatsoever why you would put a side bite that's already ahead of the thing. Like if you were going to put side bites, I would expect them to be like up here, so that makes no sense to me. But if you want to play around and try like the little stubby nubby Machado ones or something, I don't see a problem with that. It's an experiment, but it's not I wouldn't call it optimal. So the other setup is the keel fin. I've got these huge Almerix AMKs, so that's how the keel fin would look. As you can see, they're in a like kind of a proper twin fin position. They're in from the rail a good bit, and they're a decent amount back towards the tail, whereas a thruster would be like a bit further forward, maybe another 10-20 mil further forward, and possibly close to the rail, although these aren't that far away from the rail. Like some twins would be further in and straighter, but that's all good. And then again, probably not optimal, but if you had the more upright twins like an MR, the Troy Elmores, the Neil Purchase Jr., Chipper Wilson, in FCS it'd be like a power twin or an MR. There would be nothing wrong with you teeing up. Obviously I haven't got any more of those left, but basically your more upright fin would probably stop about here. I really like the Brit Merrick ones as well, off the new Almerix twin. And then we got this funny little trailer, so you can get some small rear trailer fins, but this is a specific overhang fin. So what this allows you to do is this allows you to put this in the fin box, and as you can see, it's actually overhanging the back of the box. So I can get that all the way back there, which is about like 90 mil, which is actually where a trailer would be. I think it's about 98 mil on like a thruster size board. It might be a bit further up on here, but you know, you can just have that little trailer and a little bit of extra in it, and you know, you can push it up or down a little bit, and it's just going to work in with a upright twin and give you a little bit of a pivot point and hold at the back. So basically, if you were finding the twin a bit too loose and skatey or too long and carvy in the turns, because these big keel fins are going to be drawing out longer, rounder turns. If you're more of a thruster guy and you want to get a little bit more to the thruster, you can go like an upright twin and a little trailer, and that'll give you just a bit more of a thruster-ish feel. Obviously not going to be a thruster. I wouldn't really recommend the thruster. You probably could if you wanted to, but I wouldn't really recommend it. All right, that's the fin setups. Like I say, personally I'd go pure keel or pure single, and then those upright twins with a little trailer, just nice option to have if you just can't get the balance that you want. I'll show you through the bottom concaves. So let's cruise through the underside of the board, front to back, back to front. Probably quite hard to see from way down there, but basically up at the nose end, you'll see a little bit of clearance there. So we've actually got a little bit of roll in the very front of the nose, and that just breaks the chop and sort of splits your way through the water. And then once you get a bit further back to, I don't know, maybe a couple of feet in, you start going into a fairly light single, so that starts to flatten the stringer rocker out for you and starts to give you a little bit of lift. So you got a nice single concave through there. That should be deepest about where your front foot is, which on the mid length is a wee way up. And then you can see we're already developing this this double in here with some V. So you can see the double there, and that's flat. And then you'll see as we start to get further, we start to get this rock. As you know, if you've seen any of my videos before, that's a V with a double inside it, so I call that a V double. Yep, you know, you can see. So the V is increasing the rail rocker whilst keeping the stringer rocker flat, and the double concave is giving a bit of extra bite and also adding some lift. If you have just V, it's a bit draggy, but if you have a double concave through it, it creates some lift as well. So you can see, you can see there how much that's just aiding you. It's basically like if you think of it as a pre-assist turn, you already get that angle that helps you rock from side to side a bit quicker. And as I say, as I've explained before, what that's actually doing, you could probably see that through the side here as well, is that allows your rail rocker to accelerate and your stringer rocker to stay fairly flat. So you basically having the single to the V creates a fairly flat stringer rocker through the bottom of the board, and then having the V in the back of the tail allows this rail rocker to accelerate. So that basically gives you a faster turn. As you can see, really nice tail. You probably see that double going. You can see that V and double fairly easily going through there. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really good feature for a mid-length, having that going a long way forward, just aids your turning, gets you onto a rail easier, still develops a little bit of speed. So yeah, that's about it. Like I say, pretty good all-round board for most people. You could do a lot of virtually everything on it. I'll get back to you once I've had a good ride and ridden the different fin setups and tell you what I like about the different fin setups and the wave range you can ride it in and all the rest of it. So this will be like a part one. That's probably enough rambling from me. So thanks for watching, guys. See you later.